Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. As Bill is playing with the camera, going in and out, he's checking his focus. Right?
What
We're
happens
having
when we
an
don't sleep?
there we go. We're having an interesting day. We are back with our top 30 prog tracks, part three. We have separated the list into 10 tracks each from 10 artists. Before I get into the show for part three, I am going to explain what is going on here today. It is a very busy day in the Byzantium Venditti household, ladies and gentlemen. Robert, the person I live with, has just had carpal tunnel surgery yesterday. So we are adjusting to him recovering because he needs to recover. He's in a lot of pain. So he is basically moaning about the house, most, rightfully so, because he is in a lot of discomfort. So we are basically adjusting to what is going on with Mr. Bezanson here. And we all wish him a very speedy recovery. Uh, so, but to carry on, we are finishing up our top 30 prog tracks. Bill and I have chosen 30 artists each. And for this exercise, and we want to give a very special shout out to Mr. Jim Bricker for basically giving us the inspiration for this episode. So I will again pass the the virtual mic. It's gonna be one of those days, guys. The virtual mic over to Mr. Bill Schuster as he bends over, and
Okay.
and he will give
All
us
right. Thank you,
first
sir.
choice.
All
There
right.
we go. He
Props.
actually
We
has a
got
mic.
props.
There we go. There we go. He actually has a mic. So
Oh, yeah.
how's it
There's
going,
another
Bill?
better one supposedly, but I haven't got any of them to work yet. Just
There
low tech all the way here, folks.
we go. There we go.
Okay. To
There we go.
begin. Okay.
One of those days.
This may be familiar for those folks who followed along as we discovered our favorite albums throughout the 70s. In fact, this is from the very first episode that we did. Um, this is the original cover, Rare Bird as Your Mind Flies By. But let's face it, that cover is crap. This is the US cover, which is badass. And that bird is from the US cover of the debut. I have the CD, which is the original English cover of the
Mhm.
debut, which it's actually pretty decent too. But I mean, seriously, that's the best they could do here. And usually the US stuff sucks compared to the stuff from across the pond, but we won big on this one, folks. Anyway, the track is Flight, which takes up all side two of the album. And we are now up to 19 minutes and 37 seconds. So we've almost broken the 20-minute barrier. This band was, for the first two albums, known for not having a guitar player. They had a bass player who was also the lead vocalist. They had an excellent drummer and two keyboard players, Graham Fields, who mostly played organ, and Dave Caffinetti, later of Spinal Tap fame, who played mostly electric piano, but they also played other keyboards between them as well. And Steve Gould is an outstanding vocalist. He has a very deep, resonant voice. As you can imagine, the band with two keyboard players and no guitar, you can probably guess what it sounds like. And this is 1970. We're talking. You could almost call it proto prog, but no, I'm calling it full on prog. That's what this is. It's just early in the progressive rock history. Here, they are kind of one of the original class, so to speak, of full on prog bands for at least this moment. Of course,
Mhm.
Graham Fields would leave, as would Mark Ashton, the drummer, leaving Steve Gould and Dave Caffinetti to carry on. And they would have guitar players join, and the sound would change. They were still quite good, but they didn't sound like this anymore.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, if you've never heard Rare Bird, why not? What are you waiting for? They're
There you go.
awesome.
There you go.
My parents got this and the debut and a couple of others out of the bargain bins back in the 70s. Sadly, they were already in the bargain bins back then. But yeah, absolutely recommend checking out at least this album and the self titled debut. Yeah,
There
Flight is the actual track again, though.
Flight, yes. There are a lot of bands out there in terms of the progressive rock field. When you think of progressive rock, you think obviously Jethro Tull. Yes, King Crimson, Genesis. There are a lot of other bands out there that are not as known, as notable or known, that are just as good. And for some reason, and there are, on the flip of the coin of that, there's a lot of bands out there that are as bad, or
Yeah.
worse. But I mean, yeah, there are a lot of other bands that should be mentioned on these in these shows or on these shows. That's a
Both
good
classic
choice.
and modern.
Yes, yes. As I said to Bill before we started taping, I'm gonna do a couple of switch outs here. So, because it's my show, I can do that, Um, my first one, I'm gonna switch out for this track here from this band. I've mentioned them before, and I do have a prop. Ladies and gentlemen. This is, so I hold it up to the light and the camera. Hold on 1 second. Don't have it proper. Get up that. This is the latest release from Caligula's Horse, progressive metal band from Australia. Uh, you know, Brisbane, called Charcoal Grace. The track that is the epic track on this is the title track, clocking in at a massive 24 minutes and 9 seconds. Takes up tracks 3 to 6. It's done in 4 separate parts. The Caligula's Horse, lead vocalist Jim Gray, guitarist, producer Sam Vallon. This track talks about someone who has been physically abused by their parent, physically abused, emotionally abused, mentally abused over the years, and he finally makes a break from it, from the family dynamic. The father calls him and says, "I'm dying. I need to make amends to you for what I did to you and your mother. Please call me. We need to patch things up." The son says, "No, I'm not going to. You did what you did. You chose to do what you did. You do not get a pass. If I am filled with hate, I am going to take um, this hate and hold on to it. And it may make me stronger. It may destroy me. I do not know." The song is divided up into 4 parts. You have Pray, A World Without, Vigil, and Give Me Hell. And he says in the end, if this hate that I am feeling, uh, means that I'm going to go to hell from what I'm doing or what I'm feeling, give me hell. I do not care. You do not get to have a pass for all that you've done. It is epic in scope and in production, a lot of precision type of rhythm guitar from Sam Vallon, fantastic tone on the harmony guitar. Also, visual starts off with a beautiful acoustic passage. You can actually hear Sam Vallon's fingers rubbing against the strings on the fretboard of the acoustic guitar. Very rich tone on that. Just amazing. You really do need to check this out. This album came out January 26th of 2024 on Inside Out Music. Sony, please check it out. That is my first pick. There you go.
Yeah, they're a good band. I have not heard this one yet, but
You really do need to check it out. Like seriously, you can get on Amazon. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you really do need to check them out.
I did want to point out some of you telling uh, the story there. There's this stereotype of Prague. I mean, it should be put to rest if it hasn't been already. That progressive rock lyrics are all about hobbits and elves, and not much more. Obviously, there's a lot of really deep, sometimes very dark and disturbing progressive rock lyrics. There's a lot of excellent
Yeah,
writers uh,
yeah,
tackling some serious subjects. So, yeah, for anybody who still thinks it's all about Mordor and Gandalf and all things Tolkien, no, let's get past that. It's way
yeah,
beyond that sort of
yeah.
thing.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. Prague is not the genre of Prague is not a Lord of the Rings chapter. I'm sorry. Not it's by no means. So
However, this next band did have a track called Rivendell, so maybe I should shut up.
there you go.
It's not on this album. This is my very abused but well loved copy of Caress of Steel by Rush. Yeah,
Did it
you know
blow
the
up or
upcoming
something?
here.
Like what? Was it in a mortar attack or what? What
It
the
seems like it. Oh, I actually bought this. It's another one. I bought it for like $2. I found it out in the wild, and the record plays great. You know, the inside's fine, but yeah, it's just the cover is very well loved.
is it?
And
Holy shit. Go on. No,
yeah,
go on.
these are the kind of records I like to find in the wild. I don't mind if it's like this. It gives it more of a, I don't know, like it's lived its life. Like it like I said, it's been loved, it's been appreciated, and
Like it served its
I kind of like
purpose.
that. Yeah, I'm giving it, I'm rehoming it. And it's welcome here. I play it and enjoy it. But at any rate, I digress. The track, of course, is takes up the entirety of side two. It's the Fountain of Lamneth. And yes, it is my favorite sidelong Rush epic. Yes, better than 2112. And yes, better than Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres. Those are both great. I love them. But the thing I love about Lamneth is, well, obviously they were very stoned. They've admitted that, but that's probably part of it. But it's the youthful creativity. They're just wild and experimental here. They're all over the map. They're just throwing things and seeing what sticks. And that is so much fun. But in the process of all that fun, Neil has rapidly matured as a storyteller already. It's his second album with the band.
Tenfold.
You know, this isn't just some random lyrics. This actually does tell a story of a life. And it comes full circle by the end of the song back to the beginning again. And you can just keep going around and around. It's the circle of life here, a life. Uh, Obviously, there's weird, cool stuff like didacts and narpets, which is stands in for addicts and parents. Yeah, that little chaotic bit of nonsense is just one small example of things you can find in
Mhm.
this long track. But there are also some really gorgeous things like Panacea, of course. And yeah, it's yeah, I know it's not a popular choice among Rush epics, but it's easily my favorite. And this is actually my second favorite Rush album in the '70s. Only A Farewell to Kings tops this one for me. So that's it. Fountain of Lambeth.
Mhm. Good
I got
choice.
Canadian content in for you already, so you're good.
There you go. There you
They're
go.
the only Canadian band, aren't they?
Apparently.
All right, obviously that's nonsense.
No, exactly. No, good choice. Good choice. My next choice is we're gonna do a double shot of this band on this list, ladies and gentlemen. Uh Genesis with Supper's Ready from Foxtrot, released in 1972, takes up all of side two. And yes, um, I was gonna say there is another track on there that on side two that is considered to be part of Supper's Ready, the beautiful instrumental intro at a minute and change, Horizons from Steve Hackett. Steve Hackett himself has said that it is acknowledged that or looked at as an intro to Horizons is looked at as an intro to Supper's Ready. So if Steve Hackett acknowledges that, who would argue? Supper's Ready, that was purposely written as a sidelong epic. The band, I think spearheaded by Tony Banks, purposely sat down to write a sidelong epic. Starts off very beautifully with keyboard passages and acoustic guitars, and Peter Gabriel singing. The inspiration for this track was, as I said before, Peter Gabriel, John Burns, and Gabriel's wife Jill were at Gabriel's in-laws' house indulging, and Jill looked at her husband and started talking in a low, demonic tone of voice in tongues. and they had put her to bed because they were worried about her. Thought maybe she had too much to drink or maybe too much pot, who knows. Then Gabriel looked out the window on the front lawn and thought he saw what seemed to be figures standing on the lawn watching the window with hoods on, which Peter Gabriel also said that, well, again, which was part of the inspiration. Also, Peter Gabriel thought that he maybe was looking out the window, and what he thought was another uh, universe, kind of like he was looking through a portal to another dimension, right? Like another realm outside the window. So that was the inspiration for this track. Supper's Ready clocks in at a mammoth 23 minutes and change. There is a live version on the archive 67 to 75 version that clocks in at a massive 26 minutes. I have that coming very soon. I ordered that on Discogs. Yes, I did order that at a good price. So it is a fantastic track. It is intricate in its arrangement. It is comical in some spots, a la Monty Python. Very British and very worth being on the list. So yes, that is my next choice. Supper's Ready from Trespass from Genesis.
I've heard of this band. I'm gonna have to check them out eventually.
Really? Yeah, you really should check out Genesis.
All right, I might be being facetious.
There you go. There you go.
I
They
would say
are,
Supper's Ready is in a major contender for objectively the greatest progressive rock epic ever. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
not
did.
going to weigh in on one side or the other of that, but I do love it. It's an absolute masterpiece classic. So yeah,
Yes,
good
yes.
choice.
And just a little side note, I did and a show yesterday. I uploaded a show about Genesis Live, the Genesis Live album, in live album spotlight, and tre Supper's Ready was recorded for the Genesis Live release. That's the 26-minute version. For some reason, it was omitted from the track listing, which, if they did put on, would have made Genesis Live a double album, or at least a triple-sided album. I don't know why it was deleted from the final release, but it is a fantastic track. It is.
If they had done that, then they couldn't have called Three Sides Live, because they already would have used the title. That's probably why it was left off. They saw the future.
Wow. Peter Gabriel thinks just another side note, Peter Gabriel believes he was duped because I was the management's idea to release a live album as a stopgap album between Foxtrot and what would become Selling in England by the Pound. And they wanted to release a live album to keep the fans appeased. And he did so with the condition that he did not want the album released in the States. Because he thought that the tracks were old from an old set list and that they were recorded very quickly and very badly, and he did not want them released in the States. Charisma in the States eventually did release live to his disgust, and there you go. That's
Sorry, Peter. I disagree, but
there you go.
it's another story.
I know, I know.
All right, let's see here. We're going to 2002 for a German band. This is, I believe, their fourth album. Uh, it's Artificial Paradise by Sylvan. And the song I'm talking about is the title track, which is 20 minutes and 16 seconds. It has a very, it has a slow, long intro and outro. So if you get to the actual heart of the song, it's probably more like 16, 17 minutes rather than 20. But
Hmm.
this is a slow building song, and it's very effective in that. And the vocalist, Marco Gluman, I do believe is the proper way to say it. So I could, as always, be wrong with my pronunciations. Um, he sings in English with a pronounced German accent, um, which is not a problem. Yeah. He has very strong emotional voice, a pretty good range,
Hmm.
and he as the song builds, he gets, of course, more passionate, more intense. The song becomes more almost metallic. I hesitate to use this term, but there's a section in it as it builds, which is almost new metalish.
Okay.
So don't let that scare you off. But yeah, that's the best descriptor I could give for that little section. But it goes from this part into this gorgeous chorus, which has female background vocals. And I love those songs that can go from something harsh and threatening into something just soothing and beautiful. I
Hmm.
love those kind of transitions, and they do that very well on here.
Yeah.
Um, and this is, of course, well, oh no, it's not. Oh crap! This is from the notorious Prog Rock Records. If you don't know the Prog Rock Records story, which was a label that existed in the 2000s in the first decade here, check that out. It's very controversial to say the least. A gentleman that founded it doesn't have a very good reputation in the progressive rock community anymore for good reason. I'll just leave it at that. You can check that out yourself.
Really?
Yeah,
You've
quite a
piqued my
story.
interest.
Yeah, Prog Rock Records is the label.
Is there a documentary on that?
I don't believe so, but
Is it a book or something?
no, it's a. I'm sure you can if you put it in search engines. It's like type say something like Prog Rock Records label controversy or something like that. I'm sure something would pop up.
Okay. Okay, perfect. That's good. Um, that's a good choice. It's like again, you're introducing me to a bunch of stuff I don't know. So you're gonna have to send me this list. I gotta check them out eventually because money can only go so far. I can't buy all that stuff.
In
Just
time.
yeah, there you go. In time.
Yeah.
There you go. My next choice, let me see. My father told me to pick you. Okay, let me check this one out. My next choice is from a band, progressive rock band, England, band England, from their album Garden Shed from '77, and the track Poisoned Youth. This is a band that I recently discovered, not really well known. Released the album Garden Shed through Arista Records on the original run of the release. Um, Poison Youth clocks in at a massive like 16 minutes and change. Strong bass on this track, a lot of bottom end. Um, what I like too is they'd use a lot of slow building synths, so a lot of dramatic build on this track. And spare drums are used, but very sparingly, not very sparse, not heavily. But good song, good track, good way to end good way to end an album. A 16 minute sprawling epic track, right? So I'm so yeah, that's my next choice.
It could be, I think that's one of those was that not their only album?
I do believe so, yeah.
So I was thinking they were a one and done, but they're kind of a semi-legendary amongst like the hardcore
Progressive, yeah.
rock folks. Yeah, but
Yeah, but to the the main music rock
yeah, Clueless.
uh, clueless, yeah, Flea Field, yeah, clueless overall. But yeah, I thought they deserved a good mention. So
Oh yeah. All right, this is our first repeat. You did a quick rush job on our last episode as you were trying to take care of business. We were trying to wrap up the episode so you could take care of business.
yes.
It's Echoes by Pink Floyd. Yeah, this short and sweet. Everybody knows this song. Let's keep it real. Anybody who's watching this knows Pink Floyd and has likely heard Echoes many times. Um, it's well known for anybody who watches us that I'm a bit of a Roger Waters fanboy. He's my go-to guy in Pink Floyd as far as the songwriting and the general artistic direction. That said, I think this is their peak as a unit, as a band, as a group of players working together.
Yeah.
And that song, Echoes in particular, really brings them all together as one. And I think it might even be better on the Live at Pompeii video. That's quite an amazing version, even though they split it into two, which is a little irritating. But that's neither here nor there.
Mhm.
A little odd side story. As a teenager, I had a homemade cassette which had animals on one side and metal on the other, and the cassette became damaged at one point. So part of dogs would leak through into echoes, and a part of echoes would leak through into dogs on the other side. You would hear the demon howls coming in and dogs and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting experience, especially for a teenager who was experimenting with certain. No, I wasn't. Did I say that? I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
It wasn't me. You gonna believe me or my lying mouth? Wait a minute. Oh, never
There you
mind.
go. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump. I can't remember when you would go there. Ah. So no, yes, I unfortunately I did rush through the echoes on the previous episode on part two. I'm so sorry, guys.
Do you have
But
any comments that you wanted to say about it, but you didn't have time?
what I'd like to say about that track is I first discovered that track on the Echoes compilation that came out in 2001 that I literally visited my late night HMV store on Young Street on a blistering wintry February Saturday night and purchased my copy of Echoes Greatest Hits and listened to this. And I was astounded to find out that this track on the Echoes compilation was an edited version of the track. And that's a crime. Okay. I mean, it really is. I do like the experimentation of the track. I do like the co-lead vocals of Wright and Gilmore. I think that it's fantastic the way they do it. They do it in unison, right on time. Uh, their vocal style blended beautifully. I do like the experimentation where there's a quiet section where you can almost like hear winds blowing, and then you hear, I guess what you would also be described as uh guitar, not I guess feedback that Gilmore does. It gives it a bit of an eerie kind of a feel to it, and then it comes back in, with the drums, with Nick Mason. I also like the fact that it goes off into different sections like funk, experimentation here and there. They were just going for what they wanted to do. And as I've said in other episodes, if a band requested a camel be brought in wearing a diaper, smoking a joint into the studio, the record companies would do whatever they had to do to get that done in order for the bands to complete whatever they wanted to complete. So that's what I like about that track. Sorry. But it is a good track. It is a good piece of music, and you're right. It is one of the last, for me, it is one of the last tracks that the band were a band in terms of their compositions and arrangements. So that's a good choice. From one end of the spectrum to another. Okay. I just felt that this band should be on this list because there are a lot of bands that are talking about that were not as well known as I said previously. This is one of them. Star Castle with Lady of the Lake. Um, Released in 76 through Epic Records. 10 minutes and change. Yes, there we go.
$4.99, the nice price.
There you go. There you go. Um, to me, they're okay. This they deserve to be on the list because they were a band that did epic and a sprawling type of arrangements, but they did kind of sound like a Yes knockoff kind of a band in terms of the vocals and the Rickenbacker bass that was used on the track. Rickenbacker, if you listen to Tom Petty, as I said before, 10 minutes and change, lead off track, good, but they were trying too hard in terms of trying to come up with these, forgive the phrase, airy fairy lyrics. You know what I mean? Like mystical, whatever lyrics. Forgive the hands, guys. They look like claws, don't they? But
They look mystical.
there you go. Mystical, whatever. People are gonna think we're smoking something on this bloody episode.
For a very long time.
I know I need it. Anyways, that's my next choice. Um, they did have another album, the second album that was produced by Roy Thomas Baker. By the third album, I believe it was, they went into more of a pop field, new wave pop field. Maybe they never got a proper chance to develop as a band. I don't know. But Star Castle, thought they deserve to be on this list as I mentioned. So yeah, that's my next choice.
Right. Yeah, I think Star Castle is to yes. And I did this on purpose. I placed these two up top next to each other. What triumvirate is to Emerson, Lake, and Palmer? People who know.
Very much so.
Um, but yeah, Star Castle is cool. But yeah, they are very almost disturbingly yes like. It was quite clear who they were trying to emulate.
Almost
It's no secret.
insultingly so. I mean, it's
Yes.
just like,
I mean, at
oh,
least wait till the band's not around anymore before you try to clone them.
it would be like the Tea Party trying to say that they weren't influenced by Zeppelin, and they would unabashedly say they were. So I mean, and they wouldn't even try to hide it. I mean, so I get that. Yeah. I mean, okay. Your next choice.
All right. My next choice. Well, oddly enough, you mentioned Supper's Ready earlier. This band was accused of hewing a little too close to the song structure of Supper's Ready with their 2004 epic Harvest of Souls. It's IQ again from their Dark Matter album, which I think is their masterpiece. They've made a hell of a lot of great music over the years, but this one remains my favorite. Harvest of Souls. They got a lot of crap at the time too for the lyrics because lyrics did get uh, at the height of the George Bush flag waving, let's go invade every country in the world era.
Mhm.
They dared to make lyrics that were critical of the United States and the whole war situation and everything. So, of course, some people in particular in the States were not happy about this song. Yeah. Be that as it may, and whether or not it follows the structure, Supper's Ready, don't know, don't care. It's a wonderful song. Um, I mean, this band could really do no wrong at this point. Ever since they got Peter Nichols, their original singer, back in the band with the album Ever in the early 90s, they've been on a roll that haven't stopped. They've had a couple members change in and out along the way, but yeah, you can't go wrong with modern IQ at all.
Yeah.
I think you could pick any album from Ever all the way on up, and it's well worth your time. But yeah, still, I think this is the favorite. And Harvest of Souls has some, yeah, lyrics that give me chills in it. Um, of course, it's multi-part, but just to give you a general idea, some of the things the hand of God defends America, and who would not defend America? We've got right on our side. We're in pole position, so praise the Lord. Raise the ammunition high, raise it high, hide where you can. We will shoot you where you stand. And then the music just goes from this anthemic sound into like machine gun effects from the instruments, and it's very intense. And that's still early in the song. There's a lot to go after that. Um, yeah, man, I really need to listen to this album. It's been a while. I'm making myself want to listen to it again.
Hmm. I gotta listen to it too. I was gonna buy the album a couple of years back, actually. I gotta really check that out.
Have you not heard this one yet? Oh yeah, you obviously like IQ, you like the Road of Bones, so yeah, yeah, definitely check out Dark Matter.
Yeah, well, somebody influenced me to buy Road of Bones, which who will remain nameless forevermore.
Quote the Raven, nevermore.
Yeah, yeah, nevermore. Yeah, exactly. So no, I should check that out. Um, my next choice is again, it's a multiple choice. Um, mm, Yes, with the revealing signs of God from Tales of Tropic Oceans. You know, this was yes in full flight of the progressive rock pomposity, as you want to call. I don't whatever you want to call it. We are still going to do an episode on Tales of Tropic Oceans. We're going to discuss the merits of that album. Uh, so we won't go into that. We're going to piss off a few people. I just think it's a fantastic track. I do want to point out Rick Wakeman's fantastic mellotron playing, keyboard playing on this album overall, but also on this track. So yeah, that's my next one.
All right, you just made me realize that I screwed up and went out of order on mine. This was supposed to be 3 tracks ago prior to artificial, or I mean, excuse me, prior to Echoes and Harvest of Souls. It's the revealing science of God from Tales, yes, and Tales from Topographic Oceans. I should have already mentioned that. Yeah,
Fine.
yeah. I've come to really love this whole album. Yeah, that's the revealing science of God. If I have to pick one track, that's probably the best one to start with. But much like the Fountain of Lamneth from Rush, it's kind of the whole thing is a story. It can be a more difficult story to follow, but if you really dive in and just experience it, I know people say the whole thing is overblown, but it needs to be experienced as a full album. Just set aside the time and relax and take it in. Don't go in with expectations. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, I hear people say they want to edit it, make it say a single disc or something like that. Why? Where? I don't find parts I want to cut. I enjoy the whole thing, including the experimental, all the percussive stuff from the ancients. I like it all, but Revealing Science of God is the actual track I'm talking about. Apparently, I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about the whole album, which I threatened to do. I told Armando weeks ago that I was just going to count this whole thing as my choice. So maybe I kind of did.
Yeah. Yeah. And stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We are doing an episode on Tales of Tropic Oceans called Triumph or Turd. So please stay tuned for that. And the title for that episode, if Ryan Kelly is watching, it's not my idea for the title. Blame Bill Schuster for that. Triumph or Turd. Stay tuned. The local
Yes.
YouTube channel for that. It's a good choice. I mean, you know what? It's my channel. We can do duplicate choices here. My next choice is a second of the Genesis ones choices. It's Firth the Fifth from Selling England by the Pound. I've always loved this track. I saw them do it live in 1992 on the dance tour with Daryl Sturmer doing the lead guitar. I loved this. I love this album. I love this track. I love the piano intro. Um, I love the guitar work that Steve Hackett does. Steve Hackett is good as a type of guitar playing where he just like Brian May also has this kind of guitar playing where he just gently pushes the strings into whatever form he needs to in order to make the notes. You know what I mean? To come up with the solos. And it's not thrashing. He doesn't do any hard strumming on the guitar. Um he just has a very rich, thick, passionate guitar tone, and I think it's fantastic. So that's my next choice. Genesis, Selling England by the Pound for the Fifth,
Probably why Brian and Steve are both among my top 5 favorite guitar players.
and they're good friends. So
And friends with Tony Iommi, who is also one of my top 5. So
there you go. There you go.
I should get all my 5 favorite players together and have a party. Maybe we could organize a concert.
Yeah, no, we should do a show on that. Our
Yep.
favorite guitarists.
There you go, guys. Steve, Brian, Tony, if you guys are listening, get it together.
Give them a call. Okay, give Bill a call.
I
So
will use my resources, of which I have none, to do just that.
there you go.
All right, I'll go back on schedule now that I doubled back to reveal the science of God. Um, This was very much mentioned by me in our 70s uh, album rankings also. This is Renaissance with the Song of Scheherazade. I had mentioned when we did this on Twitter, when I was going through bit by bit, even though I'm organizing my songs from shortest to longest, if I had to pick a number one, this might be it. I love this song so much. It just gives me chills. I mean, the classical piano playing of John Tout, he borrows bits and pieces, shall we say, from older than him composers. Um, and Annie Haslam, wow, her vocal performance here, especially when you come near the end of the song where she's going over and over repeating Scheherazade when she gets to the final Scheherazade. I'm getting chills right now just thinking about that note that she hits.
I think it's an F sharp. I'm not sure.
My God, it's gorgeous. It just stuns me. It leaves me dead in my tracks every
It,
time.
yeah.
And the build to it is so perfect. It's just such a payoff. I mean, I love the whole song, but that really is a climax. I mean, get your mind out of the gutter. Um, that's not what you were thinking. It's wonderful though.
I'm too tired,
Yeah,
so don't worry about it.
yeah, and
It's good.
Annie is still out there with her current version. She's the only classic member of Renaissance left, and of course her voice isn't quite what it used to be, but she's still Annie. And I'd say if you get a chance to go see her while you can, because this material is great, and especially this song. This needed to be much more popular back in the day. They were semi-popular in the East Coast of the U.S. and not a whole lot beyond that.
I'm not, I'm surprised they weren't because they were signed to Sire Records in the US.
Yeah,
And yeah, I have the album. It is fantastic. And at the risk of, you know, repeating myself, we are doing an episode on this album called, and I believe it's going to be titled their definitive, album, question mark. So we are going to be talking about it soon. So is that your, I think I've lost track in terms of the numbering. Is that your last choice or?
I have three more to go.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
I
My
really
next
have
choice,
lost track.
yeah, we have lost track. Um, my next choice is eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, Jethro Tull with Thick as a Brick. Okay. Again, as I said before on a previous episode, the history of this album is that Ian Anderson, who basically is Jethro Tull, got pissed off that the critics were calling uh, Aqualung a concept album and progressive rock, where he just thought they were just a collection of songs. Okay. So he purposely sat down to write an epic piece of work. And it turned out to be a track that would cover two sides of an album, one long extended piece of music. And he came up with the character of Gerald Bostock and the adventures of said individual. Now, the track starts off very slow and very gentle, with acoustic guitar passages from Martin Barr and flute passages. And I've said before, always said, but I've said before, Ian Anderson plays a flute like a guitarist does a guitar solo. I'm sorry, he does. But as the track builds or goes along, you hear stabs of electric guitar and drums. So you know it's slowly building, right? And these albums, like Close to the Edge, Thick as a Brick, were a DJ's dream on the radio because they could play the track and go use the bathroom, go for a smoke, you know, go for a joint, whatever they wanted to do, and take their time. I think it's intricate. I think it's uh, simplistic in spots with its arrangements, complex in others. I just think it's a fantastic piece of work. So that's my next choice.
Nice. My next choice is the one that I was briefly playing for you before we started recording.
Hmm. Yep.
It is The Great Nothing by Spock's Beard from their fifth album. You can say it five, you can say it V.
Right.
Don't know. I've heard different stories. Could go either way there. Um, at this point, I think they were at a peak as a band. Some would say their next album, a double concept album, Snow, was their peak, and that was the last one before Neil Morris, the main man, left, and they altered and still put out a lot of good music, but it was obviously different without the primary creative force in the band there. Uh, the Great Nothing is a 27-minute and 18-second song.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah. It starts out very distorted. There's this drone coming in. Like, what the hell is this? It's almost disturbing. It's almost irritating in a way. But then these sweeter sounds start coming in, do more melodic bits, and eventually the vocals come in after so many minutes. And yeah, Neil Morris's voice. Some love it, some hate it. I've always enjoyed his voice in general, especially when I first found the band way long ago, back around this time actually. Um, at the time, also there was internet rumors. You know how those are. All the we thought when the internet came along, maybe we'd know everything, and all those musical lies and legends that we pass around among friends and fans might go away. But nope, the internet just made it worse. The word on the internet was this song was about the late great Kevin Gilbert, who I've discussed multiple times
Yeah,
on
you
this,
have.
and
Yeah.
he actually worked on the first Spock's Beard album and was friends in particular with drummer Nick DiVirgilio. But turns out that seems to be not the case. This seems to be really about Neil Morris himself. It's a story of an artist struggling to try to make music in a world that wants to commercialize him, and it's about his bad habits and things that he went away from eventually. I guess it kind of lyrically foreshadowed when Neil Morris said he found God. It was called away from Spock's Beard after the next album, is
Hmm.
essentially what his story was. So some of these lyrics kind of hint at that coming, though who knew at the time? But in hindsight, it seems kind of clear now. Uh, some would say the opening track on this album, At the End of the Day, is even better. Back in the days of the Spock's Beard message board around 2001, we did a, Spock's Beard Survivor. We put all the songs because Survivor was a popular TV series at that time. It just come out, and
Hmm.
everybody on the board voted. And I think at the end of the day, just beat out The Great Nothing at the end for the best Spock's Beard song. So that one's another one to check out too if you're curious about this band. And it's only 16 and a half minutes. So, if you don't have
Only.
27 minutes, maybe you have 16.
Only. Okay.
Yeah. And I do want to mention these guys are very modern sounding, but they make no bones about their influences. They're big Gentle Giant fans. You can hear that in some of the
Yeah.
vocals in particular. And of course, the obvious, Yes and Genesis, the traditional prog stuff. So, and again, Neil Morse is part of that Tennessee progressive rock mafia because he lives in Nashville. So,
Okay. That's cool. That's a good one. 27 minutes and 16 seconds, eh?
yeah, got a
Oh,
couple
sweet.
winter ones coming up.
Jesus. So you got, okay. 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 My next one is, I don't know if I mentioned them before, ELP with the Barbarian. From the debut. Fantastic instrumental piece. You know, where can I put this? Hmm. Keith Emerson, to me, and I don't say this in a bad way, but he always kind of fancied himself from what I heard as a classical composer. Movements here, movements there. Da, da, da. What I like about this track is just the multiple sections, and good use of organ runs, multiple sections, nice piano runs, and at one point you hear like a gong going off. So I mean, just different sections, but it kind of sounds like a track where it's just the multiple sections just sort of stuck together, right? There's no sort of rhyme or reason to this track, right? Ergo, the name The Barbarian, I guess. And I do have the massive fanfare box set that came out a few years back in 2018. I bought it. Yes, I did. It's still in the basement. It's still not in the wrapper, but it's still in the box.
At least it's not in the wrapper.
No, it's not in the wrapper.
It got some love.
There you go. Very loving. It was very lovingly unwrapped, ladies and gentlemen, but it's still in the basement there. Good track. Just a great piece of music. And yeah, I mean, it does seem to be a track that there were just some pieces like just musical sections just sort of plopped together. Okay, we'll put this here, put this here, put this here. No rhyme or reason, but it's a great track. That's my next choice.
I'm glad you picked that. I originally had the entire Carnival #9 on my top 30 until I realized it was a top 31 somehow, and I had to take one out. And
Yeah, I
I
hate
don't
doing
recall
that.
the reasoning, but I wanted to leave in some more obscure stuff rather than most
Yeah,
prog fans are going to know Carnival #9. So,
yeah. No, it's true.
got to
It's
get a
true.
good mix. But yeah, they
It's true.
deserve to be in here, obviously. So,
Yeah.
um, all right. My next one is 35 minutes and 42 seconds. Um, this is Sleeping in Traffic by Beardfish from the album Sleeping in Traffic Part 2, which was obviously the follow up to Sleeping in Traffic Part 1.
Okay.
They are, or were, and are again, a Swedish band. Um, they broke up a number of years back, around 2016, 2017. Maybe their last album came out in 2015. But they're apparently back together and working on a new album and going to play some live dates, which was awesome news for me. Ricard, their main man, has been a member of Big Big Train for a number of albums now. For those of you
Okay.
who know that very well loved modern progressive rock band, who didn't make this list but probably should have. But, that's another story, though.
There you go.
Sleeping in Traffic is a glorious mess, but it's not a mess. It's well composed. Ricard knows what he's doing here. Musically, it's funny. It's virtuosic. It's like very Zappa-esque. There's a clear Zappa influence throughout Ricard and Beardfish's entire discography, essentially. If you had to pick a single influence, Zappa's the one. If you love Zappa or hate Zappa, that might give you an idea whether or not you need to touch Beardfish at all.
Mm-hmm.
For the Zappa lovers, jump on it. If you hate Zappa, you might as well move along. I'm not
Okay.
saying they sound like a clone, but you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ricard in particular is an outstanding musician. He plays keyboards and guitars, and he's the singer, the primary composer. Um, the lyrics are goofy, funny, not meant to be taken too seriously, though he can write good, serious lyrics as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so many cool little touches in this song musically. It's like he writes these little throwaway bits that could be an entire song for another songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
He just has boundless imagination as a songwriter here. It's quite something. So, and the 35 minutes 42 seconds never feels like it drags to me. I'm always in for the full ride on this. So yeah, Beardfish, Sleeping in Traffic. And welcome back, Beardfish.
There you
Glad to
go.
see you returning.
Good choice. I have never heard of them.
Really? Oh wow. Yeah, I've got the whole collection here. Yeah. Oh yeah, you got to check out Beardfish.
Okay. Okay. Well, my next choice is Rush with La Villa Strangiato. 9 minutes and change. From Hemispheres from 1978. If you guys go on YouTube, you can find a 10-minute version of this track done live. It's not done in concert, it's the band on stage, maybe during a sound check for their tour, but they do this show. Sorry. They do this track in its entirety. And I know it's done live because you see Alex Lifeson on parts are for acoustic guitar, on electric guitar doing it. So it is done live. Fantastic, intricate piece of music. When they went to record it, they tried to record it all in one go. They couldn't do it. They had to do it in three sections, three different recording sessions, and pieced it together. Just an amazing piece of intricate guitar work, intricate drum work, Rickenbacker bass, sorry, all over this son of a bitch. And it has a section of music that I like to call the stripper section of music. Heavy swing on the drums, heavy rhythm guitar, and just beautiful. I know this air guitar from start to finish. Just a great piece of music. And I first discovered this track on the Chronicles uh, collection, double CD greatest hits collection, back in 1996. So I just think it's a great track. Also, other tracks on this album, Hemispheres, Circumstances, the Trees, which was a single, and obviously Cygnus Book 2 on side 1. But La Villa Strangiano has always been my favorite track on the album. So that's my next choice.
All right, well, clearly Rush sucks, so I don't even go into that too
There we
much.
go. There we go.
Somebody out there is just gonna accidentally tune in just to me saying that, and they're gonna get irate and not
I
gonna
know.
know
And then they're going to
my
come
favorite
after
band.
me, right? It's like they
Rush is
love
my
you.
favorite band, folks. I'm kidding.
They love you, but they can't, they're going to come after my ass and say, you know what, you shouldn't be doing that
Look at this face, though. How could you?
easily.
This
Okay,
poor decrepit face.
let's go.
All right, all right. Let's move beyond. Yeah, let's go into something that's 41 minutes and 59 seconds long. Might as well just
Holy
call it
shit.
42 minutes. And who better to do excess than the kings of excess, Dream Theater?
Oh my God. Okay,
Title track from 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence.
I've got that CD.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Dream Theater fan. They're been one of those bands that I've always liked, never loved. I respect them, but I don't feel the need to own everything they've done or anything like that. But when they go epic, that's when I'm all in, apparently, because my two favorite tracks by them are this and the title track from A Change of Seasons, which is like what, 23, 24 minutes, something like that. Not near as long as this one, obviously. This, some would say it's actually a bunch of different songs tied together. I don't know. That seems to be one of those accusations that gets thrown out about certain epics to try to take it down a notch or something. I think,
Mhm.
or maybe that's just my interpretation. I definitely don't see it being that way. There are clear sections here, but it all ties together. You can hear recurring themes throughout, and obviously, if you know Dream Theater, you know these guys are virtuosos. That's their whole gig. They can play
Yeah.
what they want, when they want, how they want. They can play anything that someone else played. They can cover entire albums
Mhm.
and change their set list in concert nightly on a whim, essentially. So you know
Mhm.
what the music's going to be like. There's going to be a fair amount of wankery,
Yeah.
but there's also a lot of hooks in here. Throughout here, if you take sections out, they're almost catchy poppy sections in here that could get radio play if they were sliced and diced out of the epic. But yeah, James Labrie takes a lot of crap from Dream Theater fans, and I mean they even went so far as Black Clouds and Silver Lining had a 3 disc edition, and one of them was an instrumental version of the album,
which I
As a
have.
singer, how would you feel about that if your band put out something like that? Well, guys, we know you think we're not big fans of him. He's not important anyway. If you just want to listen to us and not him, here you go. Ooh, ouch. Obviously,
Um,
they didn't say it like that, but
yeah,
yeah, but James, this is a tour de force for James Dupree here. He plays multiple characters. His voice is all over the place. He does an amazing job on here. Sometimes throughout his career, he could be kind of one note, essentially one sound, but not the case on this thing.
yeah.
And if you have a lot of time to kill,
Listen to this.
yeah, 6 degrees of inner turbulence is your baby. I
I
mean,
know.
there are longer epics. There are some that I thought about bringing in. They're like over an hour and stuff like that. But for now, for this top 30, this is the longest,
Yeah.
essentially 42 minutes.
Good Lord. Yeah, no, I have that album. I have that and the, Silver Black Rainbows, and yeah, I have the triple disc version, so I'm a glutton for punishment myself, right? That's a good choice. My last choice on the list is Renaissance with Song of Scheherazade. Okay.
Oh,
Um, Renaissance are a different band, I think, in terms of progressive rock. They come from more of a piano based, classical based influence more than any other band than that, even over Yes and King Crimson and, you know, Jethro Tull, ELP. To me, they are more classically based than any other band. This track is epic in terms of arrangement, piano, in terms of piano. John Tout is the um, composer, the main inspiration for this track. And Annie Hasslam's vocals on this track are just sublime. She is an unsung treasure and should be talked about more. So yeah, that's my last track on the list. Song of Scheherazade from Scheherazade and Other Stories from Renaissance.
obviously, I'm not going to argue with that one. So, yeah.
Yeah,
And I agree. They are very, very much the classically based prog band.
yeah, very much so. Very much so. Well, there you have it, guys. And a part three of our top 30 prog tracks. Thank you for holding out for this episode because they've been filmed quite far apart. I want to thank Mr. Bill Schuster for hanging in there and being patient with me with these last two episodes because it's been quite interesting going on in the Besançon Venditti house hold these past couple of days. I want to thank everybody for watching. Please put down your list of what you think are or what are your favorite prog tracks. Could be 30, could be 10, could be 5. There's no limits. Again, I want to thank Mr. Bill Schuster for helping out. I want to give a special shout out to Robert, who is dealing again with carpal tunnel surgery. He is recovering right now on the bed. He's in a lot of discomfort. So, for Mr. Bill Schuster, for Robert, for Nala and Nina, our pups, who have been helping us out with recovery, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you soon with another episode. All right. And just before before we say goodbye, again, click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content that I've got coming up. Bill Schuster and I are going to be doing a new music discovery episode very soon on the Tea Party. He has been listening to the album Splendor Solace from the Tea Party, released in 1993. He's going to give us he's going to give us his thoughts on the album. We're going to be doing also more episodes coming up. So we will see you very soon. Okay, bye for now.